Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bass Angler Kev. I know I haven't made a video in a very long time. I've been busy with work and trying to get everything situated. So today it's going to be a basic video on bass jigs. Now the one I'm going to be tying on is a 3/8 ounce bass jig. And let me see if I can get it out without moving my camera. So this is the bass jig, and it already has a trailer on it. And what I'm going to be talking about in this video is a couple things. The right conditions for certain colors. One of the most basic needs is reading your line, and I'm going to talk a lot about that throughout this video, and how good this video, not this video, but this bass jig is during any type of season, fall, spring, and summer. These type of baits are very good to use. And even though it is very windy out, I do apologize in advance for the wind. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to speak very clearly in this video. But if you are new to my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit the like button if you're enjoying the content, and comment down below what other basic videos you will want to see on my channel, and I'll do my best to get to your request. Without further ado, let's dive in. I do have extra, and I'm probably going to bring one with me. I've used this one previously because this one's kind of a new bass jig I've been trying out, and it's actually really good. It's been landing me some great bass. I like to try to get used to new things. If there's like a new bass jig or something I'm not familiar with, that's because you do use bass jigs doesn't mean you're familiar with every single last one of them. So, because some of them are made differently. The basic knot I'm tying is a uni knot. Love using it. Very strong. Grab some trailers. Let's head into the back of the cart. Alright, got one of those. So we're gonna grab this one. I've been dying to try this one out, so if we lose that one, we will definitely tie this one on. And I also have a white one right here, but I'm not going to use it because the water conditions do not call for it. Alright, so it is windy today and everything. Like I said, I've been using this bass jig for a while, and it really has produced a lot for me. And I forgot to mention earlier in this video, I'm not going to really focus a lot on catching the fish. I'm mainly going to focus on talking about how you can tell the difference between seaweed laydowns, going over rocks, and the actual bite. So two of these things are basic. Okay, you'll be able to tell the difference right away, but two of them are kind of tricky because of how the pattern works. So again, let's dive into this and let's see what we can do today. So first, first of all, with bass jigs, just like Texas jigs, okay, these could be used very, very versatile. Meaning you could cast them towards the bank, you could cast them out into the deep. They're just very good at, whoa, almost fell into a hole. Pretty much anything, okay? And when you watch like other people use these, they fish these in lily pads, seaweed, grassy areas, and everything else like that. And they are very, very good for those situations. So when you're out fishing, oh no, I got one. Only the second cast in. Look at that, decent sized one. Barely even hooked. That's a nice size right there. All right, give him a little toss. So as I was saying, during like very windy conditions, one of the ways I like to move this bait is at a medium pace. So kind of a slow but fast pace, okay? Even though we are pretty much in the summer, temperatures are like around 90 degrees. But for windy conditions, guys, you got to put into consideration that the wind, when your bait hits the water, it's going to blow that loose string, your loose line, back towards you or whichever way the wind is blowing. So your bait is always moving. That's why I prefer to throw it. That's why I prefer to move it at a nice medium pace, because it is always being moved in very windy conditions. And that's one of the reasons why I love using this bait. That's seaweed. So this bait is pretty much done, but I'm going to try to use it one more time, and then I'll show you how to properly rig it. So speaking of the rigging, for your trailer, one of the things that works phenomenal on bass jigs, okay, for your trailer, use crawl. The crawls are going to be your best friend in this scenario. Okay, make sure you kind of get the same colors. Or something that's gonna be more in tune with what color you are throwing. So if you're throwing a lighter color, pick up lighter crawls. They do have those. If you have darker colors, then pick up darker crawls. Okay. So now what we're gonna get into is the different feel. Okay, this is one of the most important things that actually escape a lot of people, is that each feel is very different. It is very different in many ways. So once I get rigged up, I'll get into that even more. Oh, these are not the right ones, but they should work. So, talk about how to rig your trailer up. So, one of the things I like to do when I'm rigging is start from the head, and then I'll go like halfway down the body to about right here. Okay, right there. depending on the size of the trailer I'm using. So we go in and we keep on going until we're about halfway, and then we pierce right through, just like that. And then you have a perfect setup. Okay, so all around the banks, we're gonna get back into the fields. Okay, all around the banks, most of the time you're gonna have rocks, you're gonna have sticks, you're gonna have laydowns, you're gonna have many different things that is gonna be an obstacle when using bass jigs or Texas jigs. Okay, so right along here is a lot of seaweed, and I'm gonna cast near it because during the summertime, mainly the summertime or breeding, okay, when they're spawning, they're gonna be pushed up more along the banks or more towards the shallow areas. Okay, so I'm gonna purposely throw into the seaweed or grassy areas, whatever you want to call it. Now, I've been fishing this area for a very long time, so I know the different, like how far it goes out. And so as I'm bouncing, I could feel it bounce. Okay, I felt a little tug, and I know it's seaweed. I'm still tugging, it's not fighting me at all. Okay, it's not fighting. And that's how I know I have seaweed, because if it's not fighting back, then you're pretty much, you're just on seaweed, or you have a stick. Okay, even if there's like a lot of pressure involved in it, and typically if you have a bite, they will start pulling, trying to get that hook out. So again, I'm hitting seaweed, but I'm still bouncing it. Okay, and that's how I know I was in seaweed. And if you keep on moving your bait, a lot of times you can actually get that seaweed off. Now, if you don't with a stick, good luck with that, because it's automatically hooked onto it. There's another one. Oh, that felt so good. That one felt so good. I wanted it. And so anyway, that's where reading the line really comes into play. Okay, you can read your line in windy conditions, non-windy conditions, whatever the case. Okay, so if you remember when you were a kid and you're out fishing, you're using live bait, and you're not using the bobber, because the bobber will indicate when you have something attacking. You have to learn to read your line, seeing if it gets tugged on, if it doesn't get tugged on, and everything else. So your eyes are always focused on your line. Okay, this is one of the most important things to learn in basic, especially if you're going to become an angler. If you don't know how to read your line, then it's going to be a little bit harder for you to actually learn how to use these basic lures. Okay, so definitely get into the habit of reading your line. Yes, when it's windy like this, it's going to be hard to read it due to the fact that the wind is pushing your line all over the place. But you can still read your line, because then your line will get tight and you will have you would feel that initial big tug of the bass trying to get off the hook or trying to take your bait. So at this point, I'm going to focus a little bit on fishing and not talking, because I don't want to be telling everything and then pretty much have a very short video. But as I'm going around and I will explain certain procedures, okay? But I will give off one hint. When you start seeing like fishermen walk this way or they're going in a certain direction, move away from them. Kind of go in the opposite direction of them. Even though right here it would be perfect because there's a lot of seaweed that lays right here, but on the other side of this lake there's another spot that has a great amount of seaweed in it. So that's where I'll be doing a lot more talking. Looks like there's a lure right there. Oh, it is a lure. Someone lost a lure. I'll probably try to get that later. If you haven't seen my video on how to fish in very windy conditions, that one actually feels really good. I will put the link in the description. Go check that video out because that will also help you guys out. You know, this is actually a good talking point right here. Okay, because I have a little fish. Oh, look at that. Normally that helps out with getting the hook out. There we go. Nice little tiny fish. So when you're fishing and you have a lot of debris on top of the water, lily pads and stuff like that, your line is gonna get tangled up in there. So this is why I said this is important. One of the most important things is to learn to read your line. Because when you read it and you're casting it and stuff like this, your line is going to get underneath it and everything. And I hate when this happens. This is one of the things that will happen. Oh my god. What the heck? I think I have a fish, but I'm not sure because every time I try to straighten out my line. Oh no, it's being tugged. Okay. By the grass. That's one of the downfalls about using bass jigs in windy conditions, especially if you're facing them, facing the wind, is that the wind is going to start blowing your line back, and what it's going to do is it's going to cause a lot of the backlash. So you want to be careful on that. Oh, I'm on. I'm on a stick right there. So let's see what we could do. Can we get it off? There we go. Kind of do a little hook set right there. Even though I'm casting near this huge laydown right here, okay, yes, this is a huge laydown, but one thing is that I'm used to fishing next to these. Fish number 3, even though I wasn't really focused on catching fish. But anyway guys, I'm used to casting near these, okay? When you're a beginner and you're trying to figure out exactly how certain baits work and everything, don't go casting near laydowns, okay? Don't be like that. Okay, learn your baits. I had a snake trying to go after it. Learn your bait. Learn the technique. Learn how well it's gonna work for you. Okay, just because like for people like me and people like my colleagues, we use these baits on a day-to-day basis, or when we could ever get out and fish. We have lost over 100 lures, okay, 100 lures, until we figured out what would work best, okay. So if you don't want, you want to learn the basics before going into more advanced things, because casting near laydowns like this, okay, these are more advanced. Whoa. Okay, hands down, they're more advanced, because we know exactly how to get them untangled from certain areas. And yeah, you might see people, they'll be like on boats, kayaks, like, well, they could get them out no problem, but there's times they can't get into certain areas and they can't get those, they can't retrieve their lures, and so they get broken off. But again, that's where all the technique, all the practice comes in, and how the main thing would be is how fast you're gonna try to move that lure off that laydown, okay, or away from that cover. Yeah, you can easily cast right there, but if you wait to let it settle, you will end up getting snagged quickly. Okay. I don't know if I got hit over there or what. So I'm gonna cast back over there. So now that I have clouds above me, like I got overcast and everything, this is why I throw darker colors. I love throwing darker colors. And it plays an important role because it acts like a shadow. And this water is kind of mucky, so using darker colors and semi-mucky water or completely mucky water will help you out in the long run. Okay, so what we're gonna do is keep on moving. Lures and grass don't mix. Even trees. Hope this spot right here is not flooded. Not bad. Not bad at all. So I'm gonna use this spot as a nice little talking point. A lot of times you're gonna get bass that's gonna be like all around here. Okay, but you see all that delicious cover right there? That's where they're gonna hide, that's where they're gonna be. And that's why in many videos, okay, or you watch fishing tournaments, you see people cast into there with bass jigs, Texas jigs, flukes. Okay, they're casting in there. Even with frogs, they're casting in there because that's where bass typically like to hide. Even like right around there, okay, bass likes to hide there because it's shaded, it's out of the way, and it's a good ambush area. Bass are known for ambush capabilities. That's a lot of seaweed. And you notice how I'm pulling and I'm kind of having my hand on, well, my thumb on the spool. If you're using a bait caster, do that. Okay, because what's going to happen is it's going to keep that line nice and tight. I do the same thing when I do a hook set. Okay, I keep my thumb there, so that way my line stays tight, but I keep my thumb to the side so it's not off the spool when I'm reeling in, like so. And the reason behind that is because your line would be pushed more to another side. I have a lot of seaweed. So one of the other things you want to learn about when you throw Texas jigs or bass jigs is always don't keep your line tight. Okay, that is a lesson I learned the hard way. Completely the hard way. Okay. Now I'm gonna explain that right now. When your line is loose like this, I don't know if you can really see it on camera, then it gives the bass more time to get a hold of the bait and everything and start pulling. Okay, and once you start feeling that initial tug, then you can straighten out your line, get your line tight, hooks up, and so on and so forth. But if you keep your line completely tight and then you're starting to feel that initial tug, you have a higher chance of it snapping off. So that is something to keep in mind. Seaweed. You notice how I kind of paused for a second. I waited to see if I would get an initial hard tug to indicate a bass. And sometimes it's not always a bass, sometimes it's a catfish. But waiting that extra second will help. Right into a tree. Just trying to aim for right around there. Because typically one would be hiding there. So now I'm going to talk about getting hung up, guys. This is one of the things that get people so frustrated when they're fishing, because they can't get it out, right? So this is why I suggest for you guys to not throw near laydowns like right here. Okay, it is so easy to get hung up in there, even though a bass is sitting in there. Okay, the reason why I know this is because I have fished this area so many times, and it's the main one I could get to. So granted, I cast near it, see if I could get an initial reaction. Sometimes I even throw directly in there because I know how to really work my bait. But there's times that I'm either slapping my leg because of mosquitoes, or I get a phone call or something distracts me from really reacting appropriately. That I let the bait sit a little too much, and that causes a major problem, because then I have to figure out how am I gonna get my bait out. But if it's too far into that laydown, I'm not getting it out. So that's why I try to get as close as possible to that laydown. And like I said, with your timing is gonna be everything that you need. If you have perfect timing, you're golden. If not, then you kind of not golden. But you still have that small percentage of getting your getting your lure back. It's a very small percentage, especially when you're on the bank. A lot of seaweed. Hit a tree. So I'm gonna reel this completely in. I try to get as close as I possibly can to that tree. Okay. But as you can see, my line is so loose. I'm not tightening it like this. Okay? I'm keeping it nice and loose. So that way, if I do feel those tugs, it's perfect. Even though I'm not hitting my mark, I'm not hitting my mark. I'm trying to aim like right there. But at the same time too, I'm not trying to snap my line. Well, pretty good right there. I do say so myself. Yep, but I don't think there's anything in this spot anyway. Most of the times when you're dealing with wind, guys, they're gonna be pushing where the wind is going, because then a lot of the times the smaller fish can't really maneuver well. Oh, that's much better. That is much better. That's why I want it right there. There's one. That's where I was aiming. It was barely even hooked. Nice size one. Let's get her back in the water. All right, let's keep on moving. All sweaty. All right. Trying to keep my eyes on the ground for a second. Do live in an area where there's water moccasins, so trying not to get bit. But once I cast my bait right there, it was like an instant hit. I'm happy about that. But the only reason I knew that I still had a fish on was because where my line was, right over there, it was moving this way, and I'm barely in an area where the wind is blowing. So that's why in the beginning I said, learn to read the line, because your line will tell you everything you need to know. See if I can pitch right into here, right into this lower area real quick. I gotta straighten out my line, guys. Now I would attempt to cast in here, but there's a lot of snappers. So this is another good talking point, even though I've been talking during the whole video. But so with these rocks, you're gonna go into lakes, ponds that's gonna have these rocks here, okay? And one of the things is the rocks, when you're starting to hit these rocks, okay, you're gonna feel those little boop 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 boop, and a lot of times you're gonna think, oh my god, I got a fish, and you're gonna hook set, okay? And a lot of times that is not the case, guys. It's just your lure is hitting rocks. It could be just like there was a rock right there, reacted to it. Because one, your lure is trying to get around that rock, or trying not to get hung up. nothing. So in a way, guys, cover all your bases. Again, guys, I'm still moving. I'm still walking. And that's what you want to do when you're using lures, okay, guys? Is you want to walk and throw. Walk and throw. Walk and throw. That's what you want to do. Even though it seems like I've thrown in the same spot 3 times, but because I'm walking, my bait is actually moving to a different spot. One of the most important things. Okay, now I have a great feeling that we're gonna get hit around this whole area, even though we got fishermen over here. Okay, doesn't mean we can't still get hit, because I went a complete different direction than they did. And again, I'm still walking. I'm looking behind me, casting right behind me. Seaweed. Like I said, take that little bit half second, guys, to see if you actually gotten bit. Okay, a lot of people don't think about that. Okay, got some fighter jets coming over, so you're gonna hear some loud. Ow, freaking scales. But like I said, guys, throwing behind you will help out a lot. You never know where exactly they're gonna be. So me doing that, I threw back behind me a few times, and then boom, freaking got smoked. Now everything I'm teaching you is basic and advanced at this kind of advanced at the same time. Due to the fact that most people would never think to throw behind them.